did New Zealand's wealthiest school become the centre of one of the country's biggest sexual abuse cases? At the boys-only boarding school Dilworth, hundreds of students suffered serious abuse over 3 decades. What's more, they say the school went out of its way to cover it up.
Dilworth, a school that had a sparkling reputation and a noble goal: to take in disadvantaged children and give them education, faith and opportunity. The school that promised these boys so much instead took everything from them. Nestled in the heart of Auckland's Remuera is a century-old boarding school. Its founders were James and Isabella Dilworth, a childless couple who left behind their property fortune and a lofty vision. Documents show that in 1978, Dilworth knew at least 5 other students were being abused by Peter Taylor. That number later grew to 10. The school claims it carried out an internal investigation into the offending, but says the report was inexplicably destroyed years later. The police were never called. Instead, minutes from a Dilworth board meeting show Peter Taylor was allowed to quietly resign. Peter Taylor died in 2012, aged 74. If he was alive, police say he'd likely join the list of 12 men already charged with sexual assault at Dilworth. Police launched Operation Beverley in 2019. They've already identified 139 victims at Dilworth, and investigators believe another 96 children were likely abused.
Welcome to another episode of We Were Children, a Dilworth School Survivors vlog. Today I'm going to be talking about the food fight caning. One day the seniors decided to have a food fight. I was there myself and I did my share of the throwing. I'll give you a more detailed account by referencing page 639 of the Dilworth Legacy books.
A second outbreak of riotous behaviour in the dining room took place in early 1975. Perhaps encouraged by the fact that there was little fallout from the first episode, a sixth former decided that it was time for another food fight. Once again it was well planned, although on this occasion word had leaked to the house tutors that something was going to happen at dinner time. To their everlasting discredit, they made no attempt to report the matter to a higher authority. But one change which had occurred since the first riot was that there was always a senior housemaster present at all meals, and it happened to be BB Owen on that fateful day. Something warned Owen that all was not as it should be. It was probably a sixth sense born of his long years of experience, an intuition which could detect subtle changes in the atmosphere. There was a general feeling of unrest, like the calm before the storm. He had noted the umbrellas brought into the dining room by the house tutors and had wondered if rain was forecast. But the penny soon dropped, when on a given signal, as Owen's back was turned, the entire dining room erupted and 180 boys threw food in all directions, at each other, at the kitchen staff, at the house tutors, shielded by their brollies, even at Owen. Not normally given to raising his voice unnecessarily, Owen let out a thunderous roar, which could have been heard in Canada, as he subsequently told M.T. Wilton, who was living there at the time. And within 30 seconds the chaos ceased and calm returned. Owen ordered everyone to sit down, nobody was to leave the room, and the prefects were sent to retrieve those who may have sneaked out. The headmaster was summoned, together with his deputy J.C. Burnett and the other housemasters. Pa ordered everyone to their own houses, where they were sat down in silence until a team of conscripted cleaners had dealt with the mess. Then the whole school was assembled in the assembly hall to be regaled about the views of the staff on their behaviour and to hear what the punishment would be. This time the repercussions were more emphatic. Meals, which under the new chef had reached a high standard of quality, were reduced to a more basic level for 2 weeks. Boys were charged for the wasted food and damage, privileges were withdrawn, and all leave was stopped. It had been agreed that these would be the sole punishments. There were to be no canings. but the McMurray housemaster, R.C. McIntosh, for reasons best known to himself, and in spite of the agreement, caned every boy in McMurray House, some 65 boys.
So basically, contrary to the explicit instructions by Headmaster Parr, there was to be no canings because Parr had issued school-wide punishments. Rex McIntosh took it upon himself to cane 65 of the junior boys anyway. The big question here is, how the hell was Rex McIntosh allowed to keep his job after caning 65 boys when instructed not to do so by his superior? Allegedly, McIntosh carried on sexually abusing boys. Let's have a look at what the laws were back in the day.
Section 195 of the 1961 Crimes Act. Cruelty to a child. Everyone is liable to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 5 years who, having the custody, control or charge of any child under the age of 16 years, wilfully ill-treats or neglects the child, or wilfully causes or permits the child to be ill-treated in a manner likely to cause him unnecessary suffering, actual bodily harm, injury to health, or any mental disorder or disability.
Section 195 is not time-barred, so if Rex McIntosh was alive today, he could be charged with 65 counts of Section 195. What's also interesting, Section 195 says, or permits the child to be ill-treated. Has Dilworth never reported to police this incident or took dismissal action against Rex McIntosh, does that mean Dilworth School permitted the 65 children to be ill-treated? And could they be prosecuted today for 65 counts of Section 195 of the Crimes Act? I leave that one with you. Please subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching.
If Isabella Dilworth was alive today, she would be